student. Today's topic is Song of the Open Road, written by Walt Whitman. Let's begin. Walter Whitman, an American poet and essayist and journalist, nicknamed Walt Whitman. Active years 1819 to 1892. His poetry often focused on both loss and healing. His unique way of expression and literary qualities have added enough into the world of literature. He was an admirer of great writers like Shakespeare, Homer, and Dante. Literary devices he often turned to visual imageries, similes, metaphor, and sound devices. He had a significant influence on diverse range of writers and critics. For him, the journey is the source of poetry. He sees it as something larger, as a way of life. That is, journey becomes the medium, the source to write poetry. Best poems: Song of Myself, I Sing, The Body Electric, A Noiseless Patient Spider, Song of the Open Road, O Captain, My Captain, written in the memory of Abraham Lincoln, Leaves of Grasses. This was written in 8th edition. Song of the Open Road. This poem was published in the 2nd edition of the classic collection of poetry, Leaves of Grass, in 1856. Poem has 15 sections, divided into 2 parts. Part 1, from 1 to 8, Appreciate. A metaphorical journey characterized by freedom, independence, and affirmation of self, time, and place. He realizes that along the journey one will face a test of wisdom. In the second part, from 9 to 15, again appreciation, poet's invitation to all to join with him. Repeating the French word alone means let's go or we go. Only one section of that entire poem is included out of that 21 sections. Theme: freedom, optimism, and joy of free life. Whitman is known as the father of free verse. Type: free verse of an even length of 4 stanzas. That is, you all know what is free verse. Free verse is which will not have rhyme or rhythm into it. Uneven length of 4 stanzas signifies the up and downs, the struggle, the obstacles, the hurdles which one faces in his or her life. It is an ode to oneself. Ode means it is written from first person's point of view in narration. Language is simple and effective. Style: diverse and self-conscious writing. Imagery like constellation and brown color are noteworthy. Symbolism: journey of adventure and opportunities started in a democratic path. Figures of speech: metaphor, alliteration, repetition, paradox. Parenthesis: used to separate himself from the worldly materialistic needs. The last 6 lines of the poem, which is usually written in the round bracket that is termed as parenthesis, that is after the completion of the poem, afterthought of the poet is been presented. Phrases like light-hearted and querulous criticism are interesting. Moral: be happy, optimistic, and enjoy life. Let's begin stanza wise. The speaker begins his journey on the open road, recognizes that he is the controller of his journey. The speaker is setting out on the open road on foot, that's by walking on the open road. Secondly, he is light-hearted and open to all he is about to experience. Additionally, the speaker recognizes that it is he who is the controller of his own destiny, of his own action, of his own journey. He will choose where the path will take him on his journey. The speaker wants to explore the world. He desires to visit different parts of the country. He wants to meet different people, different communities, different culture. He wants to gain experience of all this. He wants to be close to nature. Mother Earth talks about places and people. Stanza 2. The speaker continues the thoughts expressed in the first 3 lines. The speaker says that he does not have to pray for good luck because he is the maker of his own luck. He will no longer cry, blame others for his own inactions. He will no longer hesitate to do what he wants because he is in need of nothing. He is no longer happy being walled inside. He is strong and happy to be on the open road. In line 6, Whitman writes about Coriolis criticism. The use of alliteration here emphasizes with the speaker's carefree tone, which is continued throughout the course. Stanza 3. Whitman makes reference to earth and star. The last line is in strong contrast. The speaker emphasizes his free will and independence. Here, the speaker seems to separate himself from others. He says, Earth is fine the way it is. He does not desire to be any closer to the stars than he already is. He knows they are fine where they are. He knows they are good enough for those who belong to them. This last line is in strong contrast to the rest of the poem, where the speaker emphasizes his free will and independence, which means he probably does not include himself in the group of people who belong to constellations. He does not belong to them because he does not need them. Stanza 4. Physically separates from the rest of the poem by Whitman. Use of parenthesis, as I mentioned, that the last 6 lines which are written in the brackets, those are afterthoughts, that is what is parenthesis. The speaker admits that he is not without his own problem. This stanza is physically separated from the rest of the poem by the poet. Use of parenthesis here makes the stanza more of an aside than its own separate being. It is almost an afterthought that the speaker decides to throw in, but it is still important to Song of the Open Road. Here, the speaker admits that he is not without his own problems. But instead of complaining, blaming, criticizing, he would rather change his thought, his perceptions. His use of the word delicacies conveys the sense of relishment from his own burden. He admits that he cannot get rid of them. Indeed, he has to carry along with him wherever he goes. That is, the memories of the past, present will remain with him. They cannot be forgotten. Memories always remains with oneself. Comment on ending. The road means the road of life. The poem begins with the poet's journey on foot on the open road. He thinks that the Mother Earth is now enough for him to travel. He expresses that he is very cheerful to take the journey in this healthy and free world. The poet has a control over the journey as he is free to choose the brown path wherever to travel. He is the creator, master of his own destiny, fortune. He is no longer satisfied being confined in the four walls. He is strong and happy enough to travel on the open road. The poet tries to free himself from the worldly pleasures, that is materialistic things, and relationships, that is attachments, from friends, relatives. Whitman ends his poem with a persona awaiting an affirmative response from his readers. Whitman exalts the carefree pleasures of traveling, encouraging others to break free from their stifling domestic attachments to join him. Whitman ends his poem with a positive thought of inspiration towards hope. He reveals his own independence and abilities to control his life, and this idea of self-determination has continued to influence the reader since the publication of Leaves of Grass. It gives the poet's realization that along the journey of life one will face a test of wisdom which is not tested, or there won't be any training institute in any school or colleges. There is no such university. A road is something which everyone uses, whether rich or poor, and it forces all the levels of people to associate with one another. The road signifies mobility. Now one thing has to be noted over there, that is, there is a repetitive use of the pronoun I. Repetitive use of the pronoun I is there in the poem, which shows that the poet is confident of himself as he is well acquainted of his own capabilities and strength, thus says that he doesn't need any influential friends, people or luck to change his life. He is strong, independent and free to move ahead without any expectations for acknowledgement. He says that he is going to stop complaining, criticizing and blaming others as an excuse for his inaction. He realizes that he himself is the creator of his own destiny. Thus, he will take charge of his own action or his life Now he has a clear vision for his future, a different attitude, perception of life. He is ready to leave behind all the negativity and move ahead with the hope of self-confidence, with a positive thought in both a trip that's while traveling or in the journey of life. The attitude is important, and how we make the journey memorable, that is very important. I hope so. The content is clear to you. That's all for the day. Thank you.